Hey guys, welcome back to the Business Building Book Club. I'm your host, Coach Molly from Three Pines Leadership, and thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode, our interview. I thought that was fantastic. I learned absolutely a ton, and I hope you did too. This is season 2 of the Business Building Book Club, so we are reading Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, his Underground Playbook for converting your online visitors into lifelong customers. And that's what we want, right? We want to move our customers from casual visitors to raving fans. And the themes and stories and tips in this book is really what's going to ignite your business. It's going to level up your influence, your authority, and ultimately your income online, right? That's what visibility hacking is all about. So this week we're going to dive back into the book. We're at secret number 8, The Hero's 2 Journeys. And we're going to start on page 162 if you're following along at home with your second edition hardcover book. It was 1984, about a year after George Lucas had launched the 3rd film in the Star Wars series, Return of the Jedi. He decided to attend an event in San Francisco about the inner reaches of outer space. He attended because his guide, his Yoda, was teaching the class. His name was Joseph Campbell, and while he and Lucas had never met before, the work that Campbell had done decades earlier was what had helped to create the storylines for Star Wars. Campbell had spent his life studying the universal themes and archetypes, and what I will call frameworks, that present in stories across history and across the world. In his studies, he found that the framework was presented in mythical stories regardless of the time in history or the culture in which it was set. Almost all successful stories throughout time followed a 17-stage framework. In 1949, Campbell wrote a book detailing his findings called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. In it, he laid out his 17-stage journey framework, which he called The Hero's Adventure. Number 1. The call to adventure. The hero receives a calling from the unknown. Number 2, refusal of the call. Obligations or fear prevent the hero from starting the journey. Number 3, supernatural aid. A magic helper appears and becomes known. Number 4, crossing the first threshold. Hero leaves their known world and ventures into the unknown. Number 5, belly of the whale, the final stage of separation from the known world. Number 6, the road of trials. The hero must pass a series of tests to begin his transformation. Number 7, meeting with the goddess or love. Hero experiences unconditional love. Number 8, temptation. The hero faces temptation that will distract from their ultimate quest. Number 9, atonement with the hero's father. The hero must confront the person who holds ultimate power in their life. Number 10, peace and fulfillment before the hero's return. The hero moves to a state of divine knowledge, usually through some form of death. 11, the ultimate boon. Achievement or goal. Number 12, refusal of the return. Having found bliss and enlightenment in the other world, the hero may be reluctant to return. Number 13, magic flight. Sometimes the hero has to escape with the boon. 14, rescue from without. Sometimes the hero needs a rescuer. 15, return. Hero retains wisdom gained on their quest and integrates it into human society by sharing their wisdom with the world. Number 16, master of 2 worlds. Hero achieves balance between the material and the spiritual, the inner and the outer world. And number 17, freedom to live. Free from fear of death, the hero lives in the moment without concern for the future or regrets of the past. Lucas was introduced to Campbell's frameworks as he started to write Star Wars. In an interview, he said that after he had Campbell's frameworks, he was able to take the ideas that go through all societies, through all the ages, and bring them down and put them into a razzle-dazzle action adventure film. Over the next few years, they became great friends, even though shockingly, Campbell had yet to see any of the Star Wars films. Lucas invited him to come and watch the shows with him. This was decades before people ever binge-watched movies, and Lucas said it was actually the first time anybody had ever seen all 3 of the movies together at one time. They watched the whole trilogy in a day. When the last film ended, they sat quietly in the dark, and then Campbell said, "You know, I thought real art had stopped with Picasso, Joyce, and Mann. Now I know it hasn't." The hero's journey. Most of Campbell's work focused on myths and legends and folklore, and while his frameworks are amazing, it was difficult for me to figure out how to put all that story framework into something I could easily use on a Facebook Live or in a webinar or on stage at an event. So I started digging deeper to find ways to simplify that framework into something that I could use. During the journey, trying to figure out how to use stories better in my marketing, I came across the Christopher Vogler book, The Writer's Journey. While he was working as an executive at Disney, he took Campbell's framework and figured out how to simplify it to fit into a film. Vogler popularized calling the process the hero's journey, as he simplified story framework has just 12 stages. 1. The ordinary world. 2. The call to adventure. 3. Refusal of the call. 4. Meeting the mentor. 5. Crossing the first threshold. 6. Tests, allies, enemies. 7. Approach the innermost cave. 8. The ordeal. 9. The reward. 10. The roadblock. 11. The resurrection. And 12. Return with the elixir. If you look at the most popular movies, you'll see the framework used over and over again. Here's an example. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. The ordinary world. Harry Potter leaves the cupboard under the stairs. The call to adventure. He receives a letter to attend Hogwarts. Refusal of the call. He doesn't believe he's a real wizard. Meeting the mentor. Herod takes him to Diagon Alley. Crossing the first threshold. He learns about his parents' deaths at the hands of Lord Voldemort. Tests, allies, and enemies. He adjusts to life at Hogwarts. Approach the innermost cave. Harry, Ron, and Hermione plan to get the Sorcerer's Stone before Snape. The ordeal. They overcame obstacles set to protect the stone. The reward. Harry enters the room where the stone is hidden. The roadblock. He faces Professor Quirrell, who has been hosting Voldemort in his body. The resurrection. Harry wakes up in the hospital. Dumbledore explains that he was protected by his mother's love. Return with the elixir. Harry returns home for the summer, happy he belongs to Hogwarts. The Lion King. Here's another example. The ordinary world. Simba is heir to the throne in the Pride Lands. The call to adventure. Scar kills Mufasa and tells Simba to leave. Refusal of the call. Simba, scared and alone, retreats to the desert. Meeting the mentor. Timon and Pumbaa introduce Simba to life in the jungle. Crossing the first threshold. Simba embraces the Hakuna Matata life. Test and allies and enemies. Nala finds Simba and the two fall in love. Approach the innermost cave. Nala asks Simba to return to the Pride Lands and take the throne from Scar. The ordeal. Simba must choose to save the kingdom or keep living his new life. The reward. Mufasa's ghost tells Simba he must return to the Pride Lands. The roadblock. Simba returns and faces Scar. The resurrection. Simba learns that Scar killed his father. Simba throws Scar off of Pride Rock. Return with the elixir. Simba ascends Pride Rock and reclaims the throne. The hero's 2 journeys. As I studied Vogler's new frameworks, I found an audio course he had created with Michael Haig called The Hero's 2 Journeys. As you can probably guess, I was already geeking out on the hero's journey, and to open a loop like this, that there were potentially 2 journeys? Well, needless to say, I didn't sleep that night. I bought the course, listened to it a few times, and then called Michael Haig and got to know him personally. Haig had been one of Hollywood's top script consultants and story experts for more than 30 years. He's the guy the top screenwriters and directors call to make sure their movies are following correct story structure for maximum emotional impact. He specializes in understanding the inner life of the characters and heroes in his films, as well as the character arcs and their invisible qualities. While Campbell and Vogler talked about the hero's journey of achievement, Haig brought to light the fact that inside every great story is an even more important second journey, the journey of transformation. Think about it. Harry Potter may have beaten Voldemort, but who did Harry become on that journey? Simba may have killed Scar and reclaimed the throne, but what were the internal transformations Simba had during his journey? Most times the second journey is what gives the audience the biggest payoff. In the movie Cars, Lightning McQueen doesn't get his journey of achievement, he loses the race. Just seconds before he crosses the finish line to get the thing that he desires most, the Piston Cup, he slams on his brakes and watches as Chick Hicks beats him. Lightning backs up, goes to find the king who is in the huge wreck, and pushes him through the finish line. Through this entire journey, he had been doing everything possible to achieve his greatest desires, and then at the last minute, he gives them up to become something more. We see the death and rebirth in his identity. We see the new beliefs he has created. We see this transformation that is the key to a great story. So here's the hero's two journeys framework. After geeking out on stories for years, I tried to take all the things I learned from Campbell, Vogler, and Haig, plus what I had learned from mentors like Deegan Smith, and built a story framework that simplified the core story concept so you can become a great storyteller. So first, the plot, character, desire, and conflict. Good stories are simple. They can be layers of complexity, but at its core, they are all very simple. Depending on the complexities I share, I can tell the same story in 60 seconds or 60 minutes, all with the same desired effect. Michael Haig taught me that every good story is built on a foundational elements, character, desire, and conflict, also known as the plot. For example, once upon a time, there was a little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She wanted to take a basket of cookies to her grandma, who lived in the woods. What she didn't know was that the big bad wolf was waiting to gobble her up. The character is Little Red Riding Hood. The desire is to take a basket of cookies to her grandma, and the conflict is the big bad wolf. These are the basic elements of every movie, book, play, TV show, opera, really any type of story. After showing me this, Haig explained every good story is about a captivating character who is pursuing some compelling desire and who faces seemingly insurmountable obstacles to achieving it. That's it. If you've got those three things, then you've got a good story. So phase 1, separation from the ordinary world. The story always starts with our hero in their ordinary world. The first 25% of most stories involve the hero separating from something. During this separation, it's essential that the storyteller get the audience to care about the hero, so we have a vested interest in their journey. We do this through two things: building rapport with the hero and introducing the desire. So building rapport with the hero. If we don't build rapport with the hero in the story, then no one cares what else happens to them on their journey. If you do a good job of building that rapport up front, the audience will be engaged throughout the story. You want people to build rapport with the hero quickly. We do that by giving our hero at least two of the following things. Make a character a victim of some outside force, so we want to root for them. Put the character in jeopardy, so we worry about them. Make the character likable, so we want to like them. Make the character funny, so we can connect with them. Or make the character powerful, so we want to be them. So introduce the desire. Every story is about a journey. Every story is about a journey either towards pleasure or away from pain. There are 4 core desires that drive most heroes: to win, to receive, to win, to retrieve, to escape, or to stop. 2 desires move the hero towards pleasure, and 2 desires move the hero away from pain. Toward pleasure, to win. The hero may be trying to win the heart of someone they love, or they may want to win fame, money, a competition, or prestige. But as you know, they're really looking for an increase in status. To retrieve, the hero wants to obtain something and bring it back. Moving away from pain would be to escape. The hero desires to get away from something that's upsetting or causing pain. To stop, the hero wants to stop some bad things from happening. Phase 2, the journey, the conflict, and the villain. During the next phase, our hero has left the ordinary world to pursue their desire. This is the first journey, the one that everyone listening to the story is aware of. There's a visible goal with a finish line that the audience can see. It's the reason the hero sets out on the journey in the first place. We are all rooting for the hero to accomplish this journey. Well, this journey is what drives the story forward. It's the second journey that matters the most. In fact, in many stories, the hero never actually achieves their end desire. Or if they do, they give it up for the real transformation journey that they've been on throughout the story. During this journey, there will be different points of conflict they encountered along the way. The conflict is what makes the story interesting. The number one tool we have to create conflict is to introduce a villain. The worse the villain is, the stronger the bond the audience will have with the hero. Batman has Joker, Luke Skywalker has Darth Vader, and your hero will need a villain to fight against too. The villain can be a person, or it could be a false belief system. Our job is to vilify the belief system and defeat it so we can give our audience the truth. Campbell, Vogler, and Haig have many different frameworks showing the different turning points in conflict, as well as the types of characters that are in most stories to help or hurt a hero along the way. If I had room, I would add another 200 pages to this book going deep into conflict, but there's an outside scope, but it's outside the scope of what most of you will be using your story for inside your funnels. Just know that conflict in your story is the key to emotional connection with your audience. Phase 3, the mentor, expert, or guide. During the journey, the hero meets a mentor or guide to help them along the way. Think about almost any movie. Our hero always finds a guide. Luke Skywalker has Yoda, Rocky has Mickey, Frodo has Gandalf, and Moana has Maui. I could go on, but hopefully you're thinking about your favorite movies and identifying the hero, the villain, and now the guide. For our purposes with storytelling, the guide is a person who gives us the epiphany and the frameworks. Sometimes the guide is an actual person who gives you the big aha. Other times the guide could be God giving you inspiration, ideas, and thoughts, or epiphanies, that form your frameworks for the new opportunity. The journey then becomes the hero using the plans and frameworks they receive from the guide to defeat the villain and achieve their desire. Phase 4, the achievement. This last phase is where the hero finishes their journey. Sometimes the heroes get what they want, get what they've been trying to achieve throughout the story, and oftentimes they don't. Rocky Balboa didn't beat up Apollo Creed, and Lightning McQueen didn't win the Piston Cup, and during their journey, both heroes were transformed. This is the hero's second journey. Who have they become, and how have they evolved? This journey is the death of their old identity and their rebirth as a new person. This invisible journey is a real journey that our hero has been on the whole time. I created this simplified framework of the hero's 2 journeys to help me see the most important aspects of a good story framework. As I was studying, I found a lecture where Christopher Vogler said, as you listen to anyone's ideas, you'll find, oh, there's a useful idea, and that's right, I agree with that, and that, oh, I never thought of that before. But at some point you make up your own ideas and you create your own lingo. Your own shared language with the people that you work with. Absorb it, take notes, and pull out a piece here and there that sounds right to your observation of the world. This is all about how you perceive things as an artist. So you've got to make it your own. After hearing that, I realized while Vogler took Campbell's 17-step framework for myths, legends, and folklore, I built a framework that was very specific for film. I needed to take both concepts and my experience of more than 15 years of using stories to sell products online and make frameworks that could be simple. First for me to use, and later, after I perfected it, to introduce to my people. In the next secret, I'll be sharing my framework that is built off of the hero's 2 journeys, but modified and simplified for use inside your funnels. And with that, my friends, I'm going to close the book on secret number 8, The Hero's 2 Journeys, from Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets. Remember, my friends, you can get your very own copy of the second edition hardcover book absolutely free. You just have to cover the costs of shipping. You can find all the links down in the description box below. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Next week, we're going to be diving in to another conversation to see how other business owners are using these frameworks and these storytelling techniques in their own businesses. I will see you again next week for next episode. And until then, remember, I love you, and be excellent to each other.